Hello, everyone. Now, as we begin our discussion or continue our discussion in this course about the perceived conflicts between the Bible and modern science, there's a great deal of explanation that goes into what is modern science, and even your reading talks about the discoveries and methodologies that have been part of scientific process for the last several hundred years, especially since the Enlightenment and even before that. But the other question on the other side of that behooves us as to what is the Bible. Many people who take this course may have been acquainted with the Bible before, what it is as a book. Others may be completely new to that concept and they're not exactly sure what the issue is all about. What is the Bible and what does it mean for people? Others who may have been acquainted with it before really need to stop and think about what it is because they may have had a simplistic view of it from their religious background. So we need to answer the question briefly about what is the Bible. Well, the Bible is what has been, it's the sacred text of at least two religions. There's the Hebrew Bible, which is the first 39 books, 39 books of Hebrew Bible are what's referred to in the Christian canon, in the Christian sacred text as the Old Testament. The reason why it's called the Old Testament is because for the Christian religion, everything, all history and all religious thought and narrative and history all centers around, for Christians, the ministry and the life and times of Jesus of Nazareth, a Jewish prophet who lives in first century Palestine, and even the historian Josephus attests to the person of being of renown, of great ability, great influence in developing a following. And in the Christian tradition, the assertion is that this person isn't just a prophet, they're not just a religious teacher, but they themselves also accomplish things that are significant to humankind. So significant such that all of the Christian religion rises or falls based upon whether or not Jesus was, well, because of his claims of being God on earth, was killed for it, executed by religious authorities of the day, kind of finagling and manipulating Roman law to get it done. But still, he was killed for those assertions, and the third day of that event, he resurrected, or he rose again on the third day of that event. So out of a three-day event, for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, he's executed for blasphemy, for claiming to be God on earth, and on Sunday he walks out of the grave fine, having not having swooned, not having just passed out, but having succumbed to his injuries and died. And so all the Christian religion rises or falls based upon the assertion that that occurred within history. And therefore, because of that, everything that happens subsequent to those events, all the writings that occur based upon his Jesus' immediate followers called apostles, those writings, the 27 books of the New Testament, are called the New Testament. Why are they called the New Testament? Because it's the early Christians are basically a new Jewish offset. They're a new Jewish sect, S-E-C-T, sect, that has started a new movement outside or within the Judaism, but it's an offshoot. It's taken in a new direction. So it's a new Jewish mutation, really, that is predicated on the life and ministry and actions and resurrection of this Jewish rabbi called Jesus of Nazareth. And so all of Christian tradition, all Christian thought, all rises or falls based upon that singular event. Well, because of that, because they claim that this event occurred, the New Testament is so important. Those 27 books, 27 individual writings of the New Testament are seen as so important to Christians that they tack it on to the Hebrew Bible, which is 39 books of the Hebrew Bible, and basically pull it together as one volume with Old and what they call Old Testament, which is everything that was sacred to the Hebrews prior to Jesus. That's sacred text. That's the Old Testament, and then when with everything that happens subsequent to Jesus coming, that's the new stuff, and so they call it the New Testament. Altogether, the 39 books of Hebrew Bible, also called the Old Testament to Christians, Oh, and the 27 books of the Newer Testament, also Christian writings subsequent to Jesus' life in the Jesus' life and times in the first century, all that together constitutes 66 books of what is typically called the Bible. A few more if you're in the Catholic tradition, a few more books in between those in the Catholic tradition, but the majority of Western Christianity holds to these 66 books. Genesis at the beginning of the Old Testament through Revelation, which is at the end of the New Testament. And so when people talk about the Bible, oftentimes they are specifically talking about these 66 individual books that are written based upon their internal chronology. I mean, we're not going to go into literal criticism now that tries to think about, outside of the religious claims about the book. Just within its own internal chronology, these books are written somewhere between 1500 or 1400 BC to about 100 or 100 AD. So over the course of almost 1600 years, a long time ago. And those 66 books have dozens of different individual authors that over multiple generations, over the course of 1600 years. And each of those books has a different theme. It will have a different literary purpose to it. It will have a different literary genre or way of writing. It will utilize a simile, figures of speech, different constructs and ways of writing and different word pictures that are different from the modern time and even different from each other within that book. So people say, what is the Bible? One of the first ways in which people oftentimes read the Bible wrong is just that assumption. It's the Bible. Just the word, the Bible, which basically comes from the Latin means biblia, or the books, plural. The Bible is just by that single word, the Bible, by saying the word, the Bible. It immediately invokes the assumption that it's a single book. It's not. It's a collection of many books. Many books with such diverse authors, such diverse messages, such diverse ways of writing, such diverse word pictures, and even sometimes diverse languages, because originally all these books are it takes 3 languages to write all these different books. You've got some books of Hebrew Bible that are written in, most of which are written in Hebrew, some that are later written in Aramaic, and all the New Testament is written in a common Greek, or what's called Koine Greek, a very common Greek, not the classical, not the classical Greek of the great learned people, but the common Greek of just the everyday person. And so Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, all these languages of the ancient world that, for the most part, even today, I mean, you can speak Hebrew in Israel today, but the Hebrew of the Old Testament is very much an ancient, classic Hebrew. So really, a person has to account for the language diversity, the diversity of the writing style, the diversity of word pictures and assumptions of the ancient world, and also account for the diversity of all these books. And all those things can work against you reading it right, reading it the way it's meant to be read. And one of the first problems that a person oftentimes has with the Bible in terms of reading it right is the fact that it's deceptively bound in one volume. You can go to a bookstore, you can go to a Christian bookstore, you can go to Barnes & Noble, you can go to any bookstore, buy a copy of the Bible, and you find, and this one's kind of funky, and it's a special one that's leather bound with gold edges. But you just get a good paperback version of it, and you'll have the same content. But it's all bound up in one volume. That's the first strike against you in terms of reading it right. Because, well, we tend to, for the most part, we don't tend to bind up all that type of diversity in a single volume. If we have a single volume, a single book, it's typically going to be a novel that we're reading, or it's going to be something that a textbook, something with one author, one common purpose, one common genre. It's going to be history, it's going to be science, it's going to be instructional, it's going to be narrative, it's fictional, all those things. But you're not going to have that level of diversity all within a single book. And so as a result, people have their Bible, they have a single volume, and they tend to read it as though it's all the same. Not so. So many 66 books within the Protestant Bible, within the Protestant canon, and they're so diverse, and they have such derivation, so many differences that you have to account for each thing, that for the most part, when people just talk about, well, I read the Bible cover to cover, well, you read it wrong, because you're treating it like a novel, or like any other book for that matter. So when it comes to the book of Genesis, Genesis is at the beginning of the Old Testament, or Hebrew Bible. Now, we won't get into, like I said, literary criticism right now as to what date Genesis likely was written. But let's just go with its own internal claim about being the first of the 5 books of Moses. Well, according to the Exodus tradition, according to Hebrew mythology, Hebrew religion, and Judaism claiming to be seeing the Exodus as the Exodus is as important to Hebrew or Jewish religion as the resurrection of Jesus is to the Christian tradition. Many religions will oftentimes hang or fall based upon a particular event or paradigm or thought, and everything else is a series of chain links that relate to that. So, if the Exodus is that important, and Moses is a key figure to the Exodus, then this idea of Moses writing these first 5 books first 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And all 5 of those have different purposes. All 5 of those have different things they accomplish, and we'll get into a little bit more of that in the future, next time. But right now, it's just important that you understand that Genesis is seen as written by Moses. Well, written by Moses or compiled by Moses, because all of the events within the book of Genesis happened before Moses' lifetime. So therefore, it would, if indeed Moses, if there's a historic Moses, this is a claim of Judaism, if there's a historic Moses, and he indeed compiled all the stories that are written in Genesis, all of those must have been stories that were available or culturally abundant, or at the very least passed down by oral history prior to Moses being alive. So if the Exodus, the book of Exodus, is all about Moses coming on the scene and leading the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt, then Genesis is the whole backstory that leads up to that point. So the Bible starts with a book of which no one is an eyewitness. It starts with a book that, by its own internal claim, no one was there to see it. It's all a compilation of oral histories and extant cultural stories within Hebrew religion at the time. So, if it is indeed attributed to Moses, then that character arranges those stories in a thematic manner to accomplish the religious goals of the people, his original audience. So we have to, when we're looking at biblical interpretation, it's not just what is the Bible, and it's what is Genesis? What is its unique book? What's its unique authorship? What's its unique context within the ancient world? What's its unique purpose? What's its unique writing style and collection of stories? And what's its unique function? And is it responsible, therefore, to make that the competing body of work to all of modern science? My contention is no, it's not. Because oftentimes the conversation about the Bible and science simplifies things to such a level that no other voices can even get in. They're being shouted down. And I want to challenge that throughout the course of this, course. And I hope you'll continue along with me. All right? That's all we want to say about that right now.